The Polestar brand may be one of the youngest car companies in the industry, but it hasn't stopped Volvo's luxury performance EV division from introducing a plethora of models. If you guys remember, they started off their journey nearly 7 years ago with the Polestar 1. They followed it up with the Polestar 2 and the Polestar 3, the brand's first SUV. However, for 2026, we are seeing the company's fourth model from this right here. This is the 2026 Polestar 4. It's essentially a model that slots in between the 2 and the 3 as a coupified luxury performance SUV. And Polestar says this is their most powerful production model ever, with the dual motor version that I'm showing you here offering up to 544 horsepower and up to 300 miles of all-electric range. So today, Polestar has actually flown me out to Quebec, about an hour north of Montreal, because we're finally able to get behind the wheel of the all-new Polestar 4. And the big question I want to answer, for those of you who are looking for a performance SUV that looks and feels more like a sporty sedan, how does the brand new 2026 Polestar 4 stack up? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the unique exterior design of the Polestar 4, let me go ahead and pop the hood, because the million-dollar question that everybody wants to know with an EV is there a front trunk storage space? And I'm happy to report, just like the other Polestar models, the company does give you a small front trunk storage space, although I would probably call it more of a front cubby space. Now, as you can see underneath here, it is nicely covered with a lot of plastic, but if you lift this up here, you can see there is around 0.5 cubic feet of storage space. And there's also a little converter here, or an adapter, if you want to essentially hook this vehicle up to an NACS port, because it still comes with a J1772 and CCS combo. I imagine Polestar will eventually update that in the coming years, but I'm actually surprised it doesn't want to stay open on its own. So we're just going to go ahead and leave that closed. But since we're underneath here, let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain specs. This car essentially will launch in America in the fall of this year, so in a couple of months, in a single and a dual motor configuration. All of them use a 100 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack. Around 94 of that is actually usable, and the single motor variant is rear wheel drive, so it sits on the rear axle, offers 200 kilowatts of power or 272 horsepower. However, this model that I'm showing you here is the dual motor version. It adds another 200 kilowatt electric motor on the front axle, 400 kilowatts total, or 544 horsepower and 506 pound-feet of torque. I mentioned earlier, this is the most powerful production Polestar to date. It actually has more power than the performance version of the Polestar 3, which is actually surprising. It all goes out through a 1-speed reduction gear transmission, and with dual motor, it has electronic all-wheel drive, of course. Now, with its 100 kilowatt hour battery pack, Polestar says this model will do up to 270 miles of range. The rear drive model will do up to 300 miles of range, so keep that in mind. Performance-wise, Polestar says this model is capable of doing 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. We'll test it out when we get it out on the road. Top speed is 124 miles an hour. And surprisingly, even though this vehicle looks more like a sedan, it is, I guess, an SUV. Polestar says it'll tow up to 3,500 pounds, and the curb weight figure is just over 5,100 pounds. With the dual motor version, if you guys go for a rear-wheel drive model, it loses around 200 pounds of weight. So it's not that much heavier, surprisingly, if you guys go for the all-wheel drive variant. But let's go ahead and close up the hood here and talk about the exterior styling. Now, first of all, my particular test car is called Snow. That's the exterior color. It's an extra $1,300. It has some really nice metallic fleck in it. The hood, as you can see, doesn't have that front spoiler that you get on the Polestar 3, but what you do get, however, is the very elegant looking Polestar logo, which is body colored. It also has an illumination effect, almost like a halo effect underneath there, because if you go for the Plus package, it'll basically add that in. The headlights, you can see this is their dual blade LED headlights, which includes an LED daytime running light, LED turn signal, LED low and high beams, which are down there at the lower portion. The headlights themselves are also adaptive. And this is the first Polestar model to get their dual blade design, which is kind of like an update from the Thor's hammer design that Polestar, of course, does. You can see the front fascia has no grille, but there are some functional openings down there with some active grille shutters. You have integrated front camera system there. The lower portion, as you can see, is non-painted or with some glossy black and some metallic look. You can essentially get a full paint finish on this car for an extra $1,000 bucks. But overall, let me know in the comment section below if you guys think this is actually an SUV. Again, to me, it kind of looks like a sportback sedan. In fact, I just recently tested the Audi A6 and S6 e-tron, and the Polestar 4 looks like that type of vehicle. As you can see, moving around the side profile, what's interesting about this vehicle is it's actually built on a different architecture than the Polestar 3. Some of you may think it's part of the SPA 2 architecture, but this is actually their SEA architecture, which is like sustainable something architecture, sustainable energy architecture. It's an architecture that is shared with Geely. So it's technically, again, a Chinese-built vehicle, although Polestar will be moving production to Busan, Korea, and that production actually starts this summer. Those are the models that the US is going to get, are the ones that are built in Korea. You can see the wheels on this model. These are the upgraded 21-inch wheels. They're riding on a 255 by 45 R21 tire. You can get up to a 22-inch wheel. This wheel design, however, is going to be a little different for the US spec car. This model that I'm showing you is a Canadian spec vehicle, and you have around 6.5 inches of ground clearance with this vehicle, and the dual motor version comes with an adaptive suspension, all independent suspension, but no air suspension like what you get on the Polestar 3. Now in terms of the dimensions, this vehicle is deceiving because it has a wheelbase of 118 inches long with an overall length of 190.5. So this is around 2 inches shorter than the Polestar 3. Again, that's really their true SUV, but again, Polestar wants you to think of this vehicle as a coupified SUV. It's really just a tall, sporty sedan or sportback, which is what you might find from other competitors like the Audi A6 and S6 e-tron. I really like the proportions of this car from this particular angle. Again, if you want, you can get a full paint finish along these side sills for an extra $1,000. Polestar has a tendency to put badging right here with the wattage size or the kilowatt size of the battery pack. Of course, the door handles, as you can see, they pop in and out whenever you have the vehicle locked or unlocked. There is a standard panoramic glass roof, which you can get an electrochromatic feature when you want to make it opaque or make it transparent. The mirrors also are a really interesting design. They power fold with cameras. It looks like actually 2 cameras on the actual mirrors, integrated turn signals. They have a really nice, elegant frameless design. Polestar is very much known for that. I really like how it looks with the pop-out door handles. Now, in terms of the charging, it's accessed via this door right here. You can see it's a power opening and closing door. This vehicle technically runs on the 400-volt architecture, but Polestar says it'll accept up to 200 kilowatts on a DC fast charger. It has an 11-kilowatt onboard charger, and like I said earlier, 270 miles of range, 10 to 80% on a level 3, and about 30 minutes in this car, or about 11 hours if you guys use a level 2 charger, so kind of keep that in mind. Now, looking at the back, here's the controversial angle of the Polestar 4. This is where it kind of looks like a coupified SUV to me. The big thing here, however, as you can see, is there's no rear window back here. Instead, it just has a panel, and Polestar did this because they essentially wanted to increase the rear headroom in the backseat area. The camera, as you can see up the top right here, this is going to handle duties for the digital camera review mirror. It's standard, obviously, when you don't have a piece of glass back there, and it does a good job of giving you, what's behind here, actually a better field of view compared to if this vehicle had a traditional piece of glass, which would be cut off due to the styling of the vehicle. Again, it's very much a sportback. I love the taillights where it has that kind of full LED light bar. In fact, this vehicle gives me a lot of Porsche vibes. Porsche Macan EV technically is what Polestar wants you to compare it to. It has the same very elegant looking Polestar badge here that's body colored, although it's not illuminated on this model. And then down at the lower area, you can get that lower fascia painted body colored again for an extra $1,000. It has integrated parking sensors, cameras, of course, and then this button here, you should be able to open the cargo area from there, but for some reason it's not working on my test car. But when you have the key fob on you, if you guys go for the Plus package, you can essentially just kick underneath the vehicle and it should open up the cargo area. Takes a couple of tries, but once you do that, as you can see, the power liftgate opens and closes. Now that is part of the Plus package. The power liftgate is standard. The hands-free function, however, is part of the $5,500 Plus package. Now looking at the cargo space, this is where the Polestar 4 is going to surprise you because it actually offers around 18.5 cubic feet of storage space back here, which is a little bit more, surprisingly, than the Polestar 3 in terms of the numbers. You can see there's a little bit of storage here off to the side, and you also have a really deep underfloor storage area, which you can actually go to a second level here. If you go down to the lower level, it provides a little bit more space where you can stack items up to the roof line a little bit more, but again, it's kind of like a sportback design, so it's going to limit the cargo flexibility. If you want to fold down the back seats, you're not able to fold them from this angle or from the cargo area. You actually have to come over here from this side and then open the door. But once you do that, you can see you can basically just fold this down. It creates almost a perfectly flat load floor, and Polestar says it expands the cargo to around 54 cubic feet of space. Again, 54 is a little bit more than the Polestar 3, which is very surprising, but again, I really appreciate how Polestar was able to give you, or at least maximize the interior space and cargo space, but at the same time, they're still giving you that sleek sportback sedan body style. So obviously Polestar did a fantastic job with the exterior styling of this vehicle, but let's go ahead and hop into the interior and talk about all the technology and luxury touches that Polestar also gives you. Before we get inside, I want to show you guys, here is the key fob for the vehicle. As you can see, Polestar, just like a lot of other brands, are really trying to simplify things. This key fob has no buttons on it. It actually feels a little plasticky, but it's a good size key with the Polestar logo. Most of the times you're going to be using your smartphone as a key anyways, so this is kind of just a proximity sensor. As you can see, when I stood close enough to the vehicle, the door handles popped out, the mirrors also folded out, and that essentially shows you that the car recognized that I was close by and it unlocked the door for me. It's actually a traditional pull-out style door handle, so it's not technically the traditional digital latch, although it's actually the way that is on the inside, where it does have kind of like a digital latch system. Now, looking at the interior, as you can see, the snow white exterior of my test car with the metallic fleck is complemented by the upgraded animal welfare secured premium Napa leather interior in this zinc color. I really like the way the seats look as well. They look really sporty. They have really high quality leather with this interesting pattern as well in the actual seat insert. These seats adjust in 12 different ways. You also have a memory function, obviously, and the seats themselves are heated, ventilated, and massaging with 2 headrest speakers in each of the front seats. So it adds an additional 4 speakers. These seats and this interior upgrade is actually an extra $3,700, but again, it includes the ventilation function, it includes the massage function, and the premium leather feels really nice. The seats themselves, they hold you in place great, and the cooled function and the massage function also works well. Now, looking at the door panels, there's also some interesting textures here. This is technically a textile material, which kind of has this, it's made out of like a recycled material that has like a weave embedded into it. You also have some aluminum trim. This actually allows for lighting to kind of peek through, because it actually allows for their ambient lighting that kind of has like a solar system theme to it. There's a leather material on the upper portion here and nice and padded over here. Down in this lower portion, it is even soft touch, and you can see there's a 16 speaker Harman Kardon premium stereo. You get 12 speakers when you guys go for the plus package, 16 when you add the additional upgrade for the leather seats. The window controls have a really high quality feel to them. I also love the fact that Polestar is giving us 4 actual window switches on this model, compared to the 3, which only had 2 window switches, and it had another button to access the rear window. So love those high quality switchgear there, and it really just shows you that Polestar, again, is also a luxury brand, which is not something you can say about some of its competitors. Now, stepping inside, here's where the Polestar 4 will make you think that you're driving a sedan, because it has a lower step-in height with around 6.5 inches of ground clearance. A Polestar 3 offers 8 inches. As I shut the door has a pretty solid sounding thunk. No soft close feature for the doors. Again, that's one of the reasons why this car is less expensive than the Polestar 3. But once you're inside, you can see the interior definitely has a modern, futuristic feel, but it also has a premium aura to it, which is not something you're going to find in some of its competitors. The steering wheel, I love the way it looks with its flat bottom design. The Polestar logo, of course, lots of actual buttons here to control the adaptive cruise control, or Polestar calls it pilot assist. You can also control the way this gauge display looks, of course. I love the aluminum trim here at the top, 12 o'clock position of the steering wheel. The wheel itself, you have to adjust it from the actual controls in the screen. So that's kind of similar to what Tesla does. If you go into here, you can see, go into your adjustments. This is where you can adjust the steering wheel by using these buttons over here. You can see it allows for power, tilt, and telescoping functionality. And it offers a good amount of adjustability and range. Same thing for the mirrors. You have to select it from the screen, and then you adjust it here. And the entire mirror assembly moves. That's very much a really cool thing that Polestar does because of its frameless design. And then once you adjust that, like for example, if I start adjusting the seat controls, it'll ask me if I want to save that to my driver profile, and that's essentially how you get the memory functionality for the seats for the driver's side, obviously. But the driver faces, as you can see here, a 10.3-inch digital cluster. When you want to start the vehicle, as I get in, I put my foot on the brake and then just put it in gear. That's what's essentially going to turn the vehicle on. It'll say ready in the instrument panel. It'll have the chime that comes up, and that's essentially how you turn the vehicle on and on. There's no start stop button in this vehicle, but there is like a dummy off button in the screen if it's for some reason not deciding to turn off. This screen here, as you can see, if I push that, you can switch it between driver assistance functionality, a COM page here, and then the GPS display. It has Google built in. And then this right here is the biggest screen that Polestar currently offers. It's 15.4 inches and a landscape orientation as opposed to the portrait like in the Polestar 3. As you can see, here's the home page for it. It looks amazing. It basically looks like it was poached off from Tesla, but at the same time, the software behind it has improved tremendously. I love the big Google Map display. As you can see, it's very quick and snappy and responsive. It also has on our charging route planning, of course. When you guys put in a destination, it'll tell you where the charging stations are, how long you need to stop for, etc. That's basically something that Tesla's always offered. If I push that, you can see here are your different widgets. It has a built-in dash cam, it looks like, as well, which is great. The ambiance is a really cool feature here where Polestar is embracing the Polestar name, as in star, because as you can see, you can choose between like a solar system theme for ambient lighting, from basically a sun to Mercury to Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter. I'm gonna really like the Uranus or Neptune because of its greenish bluish tint, but if you guys like a red tint, that's where you're gonna get from Mars. The ambient lighting again comes through from the door panels. You can sort of see it over here. I'll have to wait until I get one back home to show you guys what it looks like, but unlike some German brands that are a little bit too ostentatious and in your face, Polestar goes for a softer, warmer glow that feels calming, yet it also feels sophisticated and upscale. So really like what they're doing with the ambient lighting. This interface also includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. My phone, however, is not connected because I'm using it to film. The wireless functionality works perfectly. I love the fact that, again, it's included. Finally, Polestar was very behind. Same thing with Volvo and including the wireless CarPlay, but it's nice that it's there. The massaging seats, if I want to access that, you basically turn them on here, and there's several different types of massages here from looks like 4 different types, and you can change the intensity from 3 different intensities. The massage works really well. Again, it's part of that $50 or $3,700 upcharge to go with the massaging and the leather seats. The dash vents, you can see, they are the electronic vents where you basically go into the screen to control the airflow, which is kind of annoying, but once you have it set, it'll actually remember that to your profile and it'll leave it there. So it allows you more precise control of the airflow. It just takes a little bit of getting used to, so kind of keep that in mind. A lot of competitors are going to that functionality as well. There's also an air quality and air filtration system. These are kind of like your shortcuts right here if you want quick access to things like the performance drive mode. You can turn on and off the stability control assist, your charge port door, or the charge port you can open from here along with your tailgate. And then this button here, if I push that, you can see it actually will frost and defrost the windows. That's an extra $1,500 if you guys want that. This sadly doesn't open up to vent air, but it's a really great touch. Again, lets in a lot of light, which is fantastic. Down here in the center console area, you can see beautiful leather covering this area and this area. I love how it's not some silly piano black plastic that's gonna get, covered in fingerprints. The upper dash material has a soft touch textile material as well. It feels expensive, but it also feels durable. I also love the textile here. This is technically the synthetic leather and the textiles down here, but there's no wood or aluminum trim or anything like that. Again, Polestar is going with this kind of modern weave text here, which is fantastic. You can see wireless phone charging pad is here, although I will say that the material is a little too frictionless. I want it to essentially be a little bit like, I guess, more non-slip, because my phone will slide out there. I'll show you guys that during the driving scene. Big volume knob over here, which is great, along with a play pause button. And then another big storage area down here, along with even more storage down here, which is fantastic. Wasn't expecting that. The cup holders are right here. If you open that up, you can see nice sturdy lid with some aluminum trim there. And then if you open this up, you can see your 2 USBs are in here, along with some additional covered storage. Nice padded, or slightly padded, I'm sorry, armrest here, which could be a little bit softer, but the seats are really soft and supportive. I love these seats. They're an extra $3,700, but I think they're worth every penny considering all the extras it gives you. In terms of the glove box, you have to open it from the screen. You can see, open that up. It's damped and lined with felt. It goes into the dash. It offers additional storage throughout. The rear view mirror, as you can see, when you don't have it turned on, you can't see anything back there, but this is good for looking at your passengers. But again, most of the times you're going to have it on the digital rear view mirror display, which you can turn on and off the brightness. You can also raise and lower the rear view mirror a little bit if you want to adjust the positioning of it. And then that's I believe that's the reverse gear tilt down. But you can't actually make the mirror zoom in or zoom out. Some competitors have definitely allowed you to do that. The headliner has a really nice soft mouse for material, although this material here feels a little bit cheaper. You have LED map lighting, of course, throughout, along with the ambient lighting that looks fantastic. But overall, as you can see, the front seat area definitely feels a lot different versus other Polestar models, especially with the landscape style screen. The GPS, like I mentioned earlier, has Google Maps built in. The wireless CarPlay works really well. The build quality is also good. So, again, if you guys are looking for a modern feeling interior that also has some hints of luxury, the new Polestar 4 is certainly going to impress you, especially if you've never been in a Polestar interior to date. Now looking at the backseat area, this is where the interior space back here will actually surprise you, and you can credit that really long 118-inch wheelbase. Now Polestar sadly didn't have any legroom figures just yet, but because this vehicle is built off of a bespoke EV architecture, the floor is almost completely flat, and I would estimate probably 37 inches of legroom back here, which is pretty good. If you look at the materials, you can see there's some nice leather here with that weave textile material, more leather on this portion here where you'd rest your elbows. Window controls, you can see they are one touch for all four, and you also have this little handle here that allows you to open and close the door from the inside. Nice soft padding material here at the lower portion with additional storage. And then like I showed you earlier, these seats do have the ability to fold down and give you an almost flat load floor, which is fantastic for expanding the cargo capacity. As you can see, there's almost like interesting because typically this is where you'd find glass, but there's more of that soft material here, and there's like a little cargo cover here that you can remove to expand the cargo capacity. But once you have the seats back in its position here, which the seatbelt can kind of get in the way, let's go ahead and step inside and show you guys what that space is like. Now, this is essentially my driving position, and check out the legroom space, guys. I can easily stretch out along with easily crossing my legs. You have rear seat air vents back here, of course, and you also have another 5.5-inch screen back here where you can control the separate third zone climate. That's included with the Plus package. The seats back here are just heated. Sadly, there's no cooled seat, which would have been nice considering the extra charge, but I do love, again, the vents back here. You have 2 storage pockets. There's essentially more badging back here to let you know that you have animal welfare secured Napa leather, which is great. If that's what you're into. You have 2 USB-C charging ports down here, and then if you can, or the armrest, like I actually didn't get a chance to show you what it looks like without it. You can see the headrests back here are also a little bit more plush. That's also included with the Plus package. I like these seat belts with the Swedish gold, accent there. And then if you want to fold this down, again, you just pull on this, and that allows you to fold that down. The cup holders, I accidentally opened that up. You can see they pop out. And then this little button here basically allows you to push that, and it actually offers a power recline function. It allows you to recline it, I believe, like 6 degrees. But once you have it reclined, you can see this is really comfortable. I also have a surprisingly decent amount of headroom. The glass roof comes over my head here, which again creates that nice ambiance that really just allows you to feel like you're in a cockpit-like environment. You can see material quality is great back here. The seats offer good thigh support, and it's just really nice to find a power reclining seat. Now keep in mind, this is included with the Plus package for extra $5,500, but it really helps to turn this backseat area into more of like a lounge experience, especially if you guys have really tall friends or taller family members you want to put back here. So keep that in mind. Even though this is technically like a sporty, coupified SUV/sedan, the backseat area is definitely more versus some of its competitors like the new Audi A6 S6 e-tron. So here we are, finally behind the wheel of the Polestar 4. It has been a long-awaited arrival here in the United States. We've waited for a little over a year because, as you guys know, this vehicle is built in China, but for the US market, Polestar is moving production to Busan, South Korea, which is basically allowing them to finally bring the car to North America. And for our first drive, we are here in Montreal, Canada, driving the dual motor version, which comes, of course, with the longer range battery pack. All of them basically come with this longer range battery pack, up to 544 horsepower, making this car the most powerful production Polestar the company has ever built so far, allowing it to do 0 to 60 in around 3.7 seconds. So let's go ahead and see what we can get in this initial quick test of the car. You basically have to have it in performance mode, and you just put your foot down and see what we can get. Oh. 0 to 60 in 3.59 seconds there. So I suspected it was going to be a little faster than the numbers would suggest, and I wasn't wrong. This thing feels properly fast. In fact, it's so fast, when I have my phone in the wireless charger here, it causes my phone to slide out of the console, which tells me that Polestar needs to put a little bit more of a stronger friction pad here so it doesn't actually do that. It's kind of hilarious. And I also noticed it actually spins out the front tires with this car. So it is properly quick. It's a little bit faster, a little over a half a second faster than the last Polestar 3 that I tested. Let's try another run here. This time, just gonna basically floor it. 3.47 seconds there. That's with it slightly downhill, but I mean, a 3.5 second 0 to 60 time is totally possible. And I just love how this car literally will spin out the front tires, because it essentially has the same power from the front and the rear electric motors, making 544 horsepower. It's a little over 5,000 pounds, so it's heavy, but just like the Polestar 3, although they technically ride on different platforms, this car feels sportier than its weight or size would suggest. I mean, it's about the same size as something like the Audi S5 Sportback, which is a gas-powered vehicle, a little bit shorter than the new Audi S6 e-tron, which I just recently tested. But I love the, you know, precise and like sportiness of this car. The steering is so quick. The vehicle changes direction so fast. The model that we're driving does have the adaptive dampers, so you can adjust the suspension. If you go into this little mode here, you go into the drive, you can actually change the suspension from standard, nimble, or firm. We're gonna go ahead and go to the firm setting here. This stiffens up the dampers. The suspension stays pretty flat. I have the steering in its firmest, stiffest setting, which still doesn't transmit much in terms of feedback, but the car itself just feels very, very sporty, very planted, very confident. It's also really quiet in here, which, as you'd expect a car like this to be, but anytime you put your foot down, it's just so fast. Now, I will say that when you have the performance mode off, so if you take that off, you basically push that, there is a noticeable lag in the acceleration when you have it in the performance mode off. That essentially just kind of tailors back everything, so it's not giving you the full power of the car. But it certainly is very, very, you know, appropriate given, you know, Polestar's mission as a performance brand for within Volvo, though technically now their own company. In terms of the seats, I'm sitting here getting a massage, which the massage function does turn off after like 10 or 15 minutes, but you basically turn it on by going back into the screen here. It works extremely well. It's part of that $3,700 upgrade for the premium real Napa leather seats, which are animal welfare secured. They're really comfortable and supportive. They also hold you in place decently well, but they're good on longer trips. Visibility out of this car, that's a key thing here, because the front and the side is good, and the view out of the back, honestly, with that digital camera rearview mirror, I can practically see everything in this car. So that's, again, if you take it off that, there's nothing out there because there's no panel, there's no glass, there's just a panel there blocking your view. But I love digital camera rearview mirrors, so I have no problem with the way the visibility is set up in this car. I think it's done a really great job of making you feel like you're driving essentially just an elevated, sporty sedan. I mean, I know Polestar likes to call this a sporty SUV, a coupe SUV, but to me, when I'm behind the wheel, it feels like I'm driving something like the size of an Audi S5 Sportback, so keep that in mind. There is 2 levels of regen braking that allow you to basically take it to a full one-pedal drive. When I lift off the throttle, the car, it stops pretty strongly. Now, you can adjust that, and you can also turn on and off a creep function. When the creep function is off, it'll bring you to a full stop, which I love, and it basically allows you to drive really well in rush hour traffic or stop and go traffic. So that's kind of the beauty about this car. On a full charge, when we started out the drive, it was, well, technically it wasn't full. It was 85% state of charge. It was showing 306 miles of range. Now we're at 70% state of charge. It's showing 247. So I'll have to wait until I get one back home to test for a full week so we can talk about the actual real world range. But I wouldn't be surprised to see this car do well over 300 miles because, again, of the aerodynamics of the car. The fact that it's lower to the ground versus a Polestar 3, even though it has a smaller battery technically. But I'm just loving the overall feel of this car. It's comfortable, it's quiet, it's sporty. It also feels incredibly well made. We are driving an early pre-production car that is that came from the China plant, but again, the ones in the US will be coming from Busan, Korea, and production will be starting very, very soon, later this summer. But overall, you know, I'm surprised. I wasn't expecting to care too much about the Polestar 4, but I like the way this car drives more than the 3. It's obviously not as practical, but for a 4-door or for a coupified SUV, at least that's what Polestar likes to call it. I call it basically a taller sportback sedan. It is definitely going to surprise a lot of people, especially if you're coming from a gas-powered sporty sedan. You want something that's different, you want something that's fast, you want something that offers decent range, and you want something that's also just not a Tesla. So after spending the day driving the first ever 2026 Polestar 4, I have to say, guys, if you guys are looking for an electric vehicle that really pushes the envelope in terms of design, in terms of performance, in terms of style and technology, the Polestar brand has been churning out vehicles that certainly do so. Of course, remember, they started out with the Polestar 1. I sadly never got a chance to drive that vehicle. The Polestar 2 was always kind of like the Model 3 competitor. However, here in America, it's no longer offered because of the tariffs, because as you guys know, Polestar is owned by Geely or Geely, which is a Chinese car company, and most of their vehicles are built, or at least were built, in China. The Polestar 3 was definitely one of my favorite cars, an all-electric SUV that was a far sportier vehicle to drive than its platform mate, the Volvo EX90. But as you can see, the Polestar 4 is kind of a completely different animal, and this is where a lot of people may get confused because it's not built, like I said earlier, on the Polestar 3 architecture. It's built on a platform called SEA that's shared with Geely. So it's technically a platform that Volvo itself doesn't actually use. And after spending the day driving this vehicle, it's definitely one of the sportier driving sports sedan electric vehicles that I've tested. Again, Polestar wants me to call it an SUV coupe, but again, I struggle with calling that. I think manufacturers are just guilty of calling everything nowadays an SUV, which kind of annoys me, because what this car is basically a more practical sedan that has a little bit more space in the trunk area and a lot more space in the backseat area, but at the same time, it has the sportier driving dynamics that are befitting of Polestar, because as you guys know, Polestar is the performance arm of Volvo. The 0 to 60 time, as you guys saw, 3.47 seconds, is pretty quick. I mean, while again, it's not the quickest accelerating EV that I've tested, it's pretty much right in line with most of its competitors, if not slightly quicker. Obviously, if you guys want something even faster, Tesla certainly has some models. You also find some models from AMG, BMW, and Audi, of course, but at the same time, none of them really have the same kind of style that the Polestar 4 has. This is a vehicle that surprisingly turns heads everywhere you took it. When I was driving this thing here just north of Montreal, a lot of people were just noticing this car, and I actually think of it as a much improved alternative or upgrade if you guys are coming from a Polestar 2. The ride quality was also good. The range, I'll have to wait until I get one back home to test for a full week. The interior materials is also very excellent, along with the technology. Polestar has really been working hard to improve their software, and it shows in this particular vehicle here. So if you guys are looking for some of the best tech, Polestar certainly has your number now, because they've been doing a great job in making some key updates. Now, if you guys are interested in getting your hands on the Polestar 4 here in America, we've had to wait a little over a year since when this vehicle was announced, because again, the original models were built in China. However, Polestar has moved production of this vehicle to Busan, South Korea, which should help it avoid some of the tariffs. Although again, that's something that constantly keeps changing. Polestar essentially says that they're going to hold pricing as it is now if you guys are looking to order this vehicle, because you can order it from your local dealership now. And base pricing for the single motor rear-wheel drive version, which offers up to 300 miles of range, starts at $56,400. That's actually a lot cheaper than I expected this vehicle to be. It's actually 12 grand less expensive than the South Carolina built Polestar 3. Now, granted, the Polestar 3 has a different mission. It's designed to be more of a luxury vehicle with even more technology and premium touches. This is designed to still be luxurious, but at the same time, it's more sporty, it's more dynamic, so it's a little bit less expensive. If you guys want all-wheel drive, it'll cost you $6,500 extra for a base price of $62,400. Again, that price is a lot less than I expected. Even Audi's A6 e-tron is more expensive. A BMW i4 is a little bit less expensive. However, once you start adding in the options, it actually comes out to be around the same price as this vehicle. Now, of course, my particular test car here has a good amount of options on it. The most expensive option is the Plus package for $5,500. It throws in a lot of additional tech and luxury features, including the rear seats that recline and the leather seats that are on my test car here also add an extra $3,700 that include a massage function. It also includes the upgraded premium audio system from Harman Kardon, up to 16 speakers. So all in, with the destination charge and this color upcharge, you're looking at just over $78,000 as tested. I know 78 grand is a lot of money, but keep in mind, I just tested the Audi S6 e-tron, which had a as tested price of over $88,000. That's 10 grand more expensive than the Polestar 4, and granted, I think the Polestar is the better looking vehicle. It's even faster than the Audi. It has just as much interior space, and it has even better technology. So again, keep that in mind. The electric vehicle space continues to heat up, and with the addition of the Polestar 4, I wouldn't be surprised to see this model here become one of the best-selling Polestars here in the US. Well, all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2026 Polestar 4. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.